Today, we're not just traveling across the world. We're traveling across time, to places where mountains float, where stone defies gravity, and where Earth feels less like a planet and more like a living artist. These are landscapes shaped over millions of years by pressure, patience, and pure force. No myths, no CGI, just geology at its most unbelievable. By the end of this journey, you won't see this planet the same way again. Rising through the mist of China's Hunan province, thousands of stone pillars pierce the sky like a forest turned vertical. More than 3,000 sandstone columns stand suspended between earth and cloud, some reaching over 200 meters high. They began forming over 380 million years ago when ancient seabeds were forced upward by tectonic shifts. Then wind, rain, and time carved them into these impossibly thin towers. When fog rolls in, the bases disappear. And for a moment, the mountains float. Sunlight paints them gold at dawn and deep emerald at dusk. No surprise, this landscape inspired the floating mountains of Avatar. But this isn't fantasy. This is erosion working with infinite patience. Walk here long enough, and reality starts to feel optional. In the heart of Norway, a slab of granite juts out into open air like a frozen tongue stretching toward the horizon. Trolltunga. Suspended more than 1,000 meters above Lake Ringedalsvatnet, it feels less like a viewpoint and more like the edge of the world. This dramatic ledge was carved around 10,000 years ago during the last ice age, when massive glaciers tore through the mountains and retreated, leaving behind exposed, fractured rock. Reaching it requires a 27-kilometer hike through harsh terrain. Wind, elevation, silence. But when you finally step onto the edge, gravity becomes personal. There is nothing between you and the void, just stone and courage. Hidden in the remote northwest of Australia lies a landscape that looks almost artificial. The Bungle Bungle Range. Hundreds of massive domes rise from the desert floor, striped in deep orange and charcoal black like a field of giant stone beehives. These formations began over 350 million years ago. Layers of sandstone, silt, and ancient microorganisms slowly compressed over time. Wind and rain then carved the soft rock into these rounded towers. From above, the pattern feels deliberate, almost coded, but no human designed it. This is time organizing chaos, a geological secret hidden in plain sight, and once you see it, it's impossible to forget. Deep in Egypt's western desert lies a landscape so surreal it feels almost extraterrestrial. The White Desert was shaped over millions of years as relentless winds carved chalk and limestone into towering mushrooms, massive pillars, and strange frozen forms that resemble creatures turned to stone. Under the blazing sun, the terrain glows in warm golden tones. By night, it transforms into a luminous white expanse beneath one of the clearest, star-filled skies on Earth. There is no sound, no life in sight, only an endless ocean of stone where silence feels infinite and time itself seems to dissolve. Along Iceland's rugged coast and beneath its waterfalls rise thousands of perfectly aligned hexagonal basalt columns, standing like a cathedral carved by fire. These formations were born nearly 2 million years ago when molten lava cooled rapidly and cracked into geometric patterns as it contracted. At Reynisfjara Beach, dark waves crash against the towering walls in deep, rhythmic echoes. At Svartafoss, water cascades over symmetrical stone pillars shaped with impossible precision. No architect planned this, no engineer calculated it. Just heat, pressure, and physics creating order from chaos. On the border of Utah and Arizona rises Monument Valley, a vast desert where colossal red sandstone monoliths tower up to 300 meters high. Formed over 250 million years ago, these giants were carved by wind and erosion from ancient rock layers that once covered the entire region. Today, they stand isolated against an endless horizon, like silent guardians of deep time. At sunrise, the stone ignites in gold and crimson. At sunset, it turns violet beneath an open sky. Here, scale feels distorted, and the silence carries the weight of centuries. In central Turkey, Cappadocia reveals a surreal landscape of tall Mahrut fairy chimneys rising from the earth like stone flames. These formations began nearly 60 million years ago after massive volcanic eruptions portrayed the region in ash. Over time, wind and rain eroded the softer layers, leaving behind columns capped with harder rock. But geology is only part of the story. Humans carved homes, churches, and entire underground cities into these cliffs. At dawn, hundreds of hot air balloons drift above the valley, where ancient stone and human history merge into a single breathtaking horizon. Hidden beneath the Arizona desert, Antelope Canyon is a flowing corridor of sculpted sandstone shaped by sudden flash floods over thousands of years. Water once rushed violently through narrow cracks, twisting and smoothing the rock into curves that resemble frozen waves. The canyon is divided into upper and lower sections, each glowing differently as sunlight filters through thin openings above. At certain moments, beams of light pierce the darkness like solid columns. Sacred to the Navajo Nation, this is not just a canyon, it is stone set in motion long after the river disappeared. Rising from the still waters of Mono Lake in California, the Tufa Towers look like the ruins of a forgotten civilization. In reality, they began forming nearly 760,000 years ago when mineral-rich freshwater springs mixed with the lake's highly alkaline water, triggering a chemical reaction that built hollow limestone columns from the inside out. As the lake levels dropped, these formations emerged, exposed to open air. At sunrise, their reflections stretch across the glass-like surface, doubling their presence and blurring the line between illusion and reality. A silent forest of stone shaped by chemistry, patience, and time. In Utah's Goblin Valley, thousands of strange rock figures stand scattered across the desert floor like a silent stone army. These formations began taking shape over 170 million years ago during the Jurassic period, when layers of red sandstone were slowly carved by wind and seasonal rains. Softer rock eroded faster, leaving behind bulbous shapes balanced on narrow stems, resembling creatures frozen mid-movement. As the sun shifts across the sky, long shadows stretch and distort the terrain, transforming the valley into a surreal landscape where scale disappears. Imagination takes control, and the ordinary rules of perspective no longer apply. Scattered along New Zealand's eastern coast, the Meraki boulders rest on the sand like enormous stone spheres abandoned by another world. Some measure over 2 meters wide, nearly perfect in shape. They formed around 60 million years ago on the ocean floor as minerals slowly crystallized around a central core, layer by layer, like colossal pearls growing in darkness. Over time, erosion exposed them along the shoreline. Waves now crash against their cracked surfaces, revealing intricate patterns inside. Balanced between science and legend, they feel less like rocks and more like artifacts from deep time. In southwestern Turkey, Pamukkale cascades down a hillside in brilliant white terraces that resemble a frozen waterfall. Its name means Cotton Castle, and from a distance it truly looks unreal. Over thousands of years, mineral-rich thermal waters flowed down the slope, depositing layers of calcium carbonate that slowly hardened into smooth basins and natural pools. Warm water still fills many of them, reflecting the sky in soft blues against the blinding white stone. What appears delicate was built through persistence, a masterpiece shaped not by force but by gravity, chemistry, and endless repetition. Off Iceland's northern coast rises Vitserkur, a 15-meter basalt sea stack standing alone in the Atlantic like a petrified creature caught mid-motion. Formed by volcanic activity and shaped relentlessly by waves, wind, and saltwater erosion, this isolated rock has been sculpted into arches and jagged limbs over thousands of years. Local legend says it was once a troll turned to stone by the rising sun. At low tide, it appears to drink from the sea. At sunset, its silhouette darkens against a burning sky where geology and myth become impossible to separate. Earth is powerful, but it doesn't always follow the rules. If these landscapes felt unreal, the next ones will feel impossible. In our next journey, we explore 15 geological formations that break the rules of physics. And this time, nature goes too far.